Alrighty. I'm Joshua Mendoza. This is for Intercultural Interview Assignment. And this is Carlos Armando Galindo. And today I'm going to be interviewing. He's given me permission to interview him, asking these questions about his culture. And we get to do that. And so, are you ready? You ready, Carlos?
Ready or not, here we are.
All right. Can you describe the physical place where you grew up?
It was a very poor environment where I grew up, and we used to make our sandals out of tires and strings. It was that bad. And No concrete, no streets. It's just in the middle of nowhere with gravel roads and stuff. And so we grew up, walking to school every day, miles and miles away every day. And so it was pretty hard. Yeah.
Wow. This was what? Where are you from? If you mind asking on that, where was that at?
That was in Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua. Um, Back I was born in 1963. So in those years, there was another world back then.
Okay. What are some, from where you're from and Mexico? What are some customs or traditions that you still celebrate from there?
Customs, we're by nature family oriented, so we celebrate everything.
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 Wow.
We just need to find an excuse to get together. We're very united families, and we're talking about aunts and uncles. We always get together every weekend. To come to the states and not have that, it was a really missing that big time.
Hmm. All right. What differences impact you most deeply, and why do you think that is?
Differences.
And what differences impact you most deeply, and
Well,
why do you think that is?
the Here in the states, the lifestyle is different, way different. We had to commute everywhere over there. Here, you gotta have your own car, basically, if you want to commute. Places are far away to go to because you gotta drive to it. Where back then, in every block or so, we had a convenience store that we could go to real close. And so it was a change for us, to be able to adjust to the format that this country have. Um, but we had to work it. Um, it was a meaningful thing for us because we were, kind of accustomed to. We had more time for ourselves as we lived versus you gotta take 30 minutes to go somewhere here and back, and where there is just a few minutes and you're back. So that I would say that would be a time consuming for us, big time.
Okay. Alrighty. All right, we're just going to discuss these next questions, value expressions. So these questions are going to be kind of around that topic. Um, what would you want others to know about your culture?
Um, Togetherness, I would say, um, more on the relational aspect. Um, Here you just say hi and bye type deal. Where I come from is hi and how you doing, and you get to listen get to hear, what their life was new or whatever. We took time to listen to people. Here in our neighborhood, we hardly say anything. Uh, it's not, closeness. I would say that would be.
So you think it's more from where you were, it was more close with relationships within your community than here.
Yeah, yeah. Over there, we know everybody, and we talk to each other every day. And the respect for people and the value of the people was more intense than here. Here is way less. You don't worry about anybody because you hardly know them. Where I come from, we always know each other and we always help each other in whatever. And so, I mean, all the kids, the youth back in the day, we know each other. We spend time together. We play ball together. We did a lot of things together with the parents. I mean, we knew the parents, and they were like our parents. Because if you did something wrong, they'll discipline us, and it was okay with everybody. As a matter of fact, there was an agreement, with all the neighborhood that one misbehaved, all the parents could get in our case about it.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was okay, it was allowed, it was expected, and there was a strong communication within.
What role does your religion or spirituality play in your community?
Well, we come from a Catholic background, and we were rooted in that religion, and that religion itself, kind of teaches us, what type of uh, character is expected of you. So I can say that it played a very strong role because back in the day, there was no option to go to church. You just go to church, and that was expected. Uh, they really kept up with Sunday being a day to be off, and that was a day to go to church. Um, Even though back then, the mass was in Latin, so we didn't understand anything. They said you just get up and sit down, get kneel, and that's it. And so we did that number. But it,
Okay, how do people in your culture usually handle conflict or disagreement?
mm, well, my family had a philosophy that said that I was somebody at home and I was somebody else outside. And so the way they resolve the conflict is that they believe the people, what they say. If they say these kids misbehave or so and so did that, they'll believe it. And they didn't believe a child or the youth, or if they want to share their input of what went on a particular problem. And so it was pretty much resolved right away. Whatever the elder said goes, and no questions about. And so among uh, people in the community, they didn't had much of issues with each other. Um, if there were issues, it will be because of the kids, playing or hitting somebody, and it will be solved immediately. It's like if a parent says, "Oh, your kid hit my kid," and that was it. Discipline the kid, and that was it. There was no holding grudges or I don't like you touching my kid or anything like that. It was smooth, friendly, we kept up with a friendly environment in our community. We had about good 10 families around us that we look up after each other, and no problems were necessarily, and they were solved immediately. Here, it's like you better not mess with anybody because they take you to court,
Right. Oh,
and
yeah.
and they get the police involved, and they have their way of solving problems is way different than.
Running out of time. So this next questions is dealing with communication.
Mm.
So, how is respect typically communicated verbally in your culture?
Well, we grew up being taught, to respect the elders, and so when someone came, you had to say, "Hi, sir," welcome. And so they were, if you were anywhere else, you had to get out, come and say hi to whoever visit your home, and so it has to be expressed, the welcome. Um, and even when you walk on the street, you gotta say something to the people that you know. You, even people you don't know, you kind of verbally you don't have to express a hi. Um, Here, not necessarily. Here, you just nod if at that, you just completely ignore the person.
Okay.
You walk by. And so, in family relationships, there has to be a lot of respect. Uh, Parents, children respect the parents, and we seriously grew up where if an older person walks into you, you stand up and greet the person. And so communication was open as far as meeting somebody. I don't know if that's the direction you want to take it with the question.
Right. Well, yeah. Like from what I'm hearing from you, you're saying that when you depending on if it's an elder or somebody you say something that is of respect. Like, yes, sir. Are there any gestures that confuse or maybe offend you when you first came here?
Gosh,
Oh,
that's a tough.
nah.
No, it's not. I think it was more of being careful ourselves not to do something that will offend people more than them offending us. Because we didn't know, what to expect. And obviously, I noticed the differences, and I had to respect those differences. So we try to stay on the side of I don't want to say the wrong thing or act in the wrong way, versus being offended by what they did or did not do. I mean, because we're accustomed to greet, and to chat, talk. Where here, you just nod or wave, go on.
Go on about your business.
Yeah, and so we had to learn to do the same.
So that itself was like a cultural shock, kind of way,
Yeah,
where you want to.
because you wanna connect. You wanna say something. You wanna stop. And you wanna chit chat.
And they're like minding our own business.
Yeah.
As you mind your business, I mind my. You mind your business, I mind my own business, kind of.
Well,
mentalities.
In Mexico, it don't matter if you're a male or female. You greet regardless, with respect.
What do you see the main differences in your church, going from you growing up as a Catholic to now, the church that you attend now compared to there and here, that cultural difference?
Uh, well, in the Christian environment, is obviously is different.
Protestant, Protestant.
Well, right, right, Catholic, Protestant, because with Christian, love is a an important role. You just learn to love people in spite of. In the Catholic, they're more judgmental, per se. Uh, and when we talk about conflict, you try to keep the peace going, then you just don't say anything. But in the Christian environment, it's not that you don't say anything, but you show more affection, uh, more care uh, than Catholics do. Um, and for me, it was a shock, um, a big difference. Um, in the Christian environment, they do care for you, honestly care for you. Catholics, they don't. I mean, they keep the peace with you. They keep communication open, but they don't care for you as much that I would say the Christians do. And obviously, the environment within the church is different. Worship is different. The lessons that they teach are different compared to the Catholic setting. And so it's a big difference.
You were telling me earlier we are talking. You got kids that were born here, and I was talking to one of them over there. He's nice, but the thing that my question is that with how you grew up compared to your kids now here that grew up here, do you think? I guess it's like a two-part question. One is like, do you think they enjoyed their growing up as you could say a mixture of Mexican and American culture, and how is that, I won't say not beneficial or anything like that, but how has that been your experience growing up with Mexican culture, but now raising kids in an American culture, and they're definitely have different, you know.
Well, we have different philosophies uh, about how to go about in life. And we obviously try to adjust to, to the differences. Um, as far as we try to, instill our culture in our kids, even though we knew that they were going to somewhat be different because they are growing up in a different culture. And so, even though some of the things that the Americans do, we don't do, um, we had to kind of somewhat leverage or give in or completely say no to the American style versus the Hispanic style of living. Um, but yeah, our kids, grew up different, obviously, because they had both cultures blend, and we had to blend with them because they had a different culture here. But they grew up with knowing what the Hispanic culture looked like, somewhat, and because they were exposed to it. And I guess they come out all right. I guess they do have both, a little bit of both.
Yeah, both.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alrighty. That will conclude this interview. I appreciate your time, Carlos.
You're welcome.
I know we had some scheduling issues, but I appreciate your time.
Yes.
Give me permission to interview and ask these questions.
You're welcome.
And so, thank you so much. That's the end of this interview.